Welcome back to Cabin, or Create Above and Beyond, and today we need brass machines. Brass funnels, mechanical arms, and so much more are locked behind Chapter 2's brass machines, so let's build a new castle for these production lines and get cracking. Using the space we cleared last week, I started the build. Moving on from the wood aesthetic of the build so far, I wanted to move up into the Stone Age. It's by far the biggest build yet. I decided to split it into two floors, the bottom for Chapter 2 and the top for Chapter 2B, the bonus chapter. We'll get to that later. Little dividing walls separate the space while still leaving everything more or less visible. Each production step will get their own little nook while still being easy enough to connect them. Creates iron windows, let in some light without making it look too modern. Some hanging lanterns on chains light up the rest of the building. I wanted to add some copper elements because I'm a sucker for copper weathering over time, plus I think it looks really good with the dark deep slate. Rounding out the corners was the key detail to sell the castle aesthetic and kind of pulled the whole thing together. I then added some texture with some other contrasting blocks, like deep slate and tuff. I used the schematic cannon like usual to print it out into the survival world. Can't have a new building without a pretty path to it either. With the deep slate castle constructed, do comment below if you have a better name for it, it was time to work on Chapter 2. So this is Future Skunky, and I saw that I was explaining it as I was building it not the best, so I thought I would go in as I was editing this video and explain it as it's working, because it might make more sense that way. So if you see some things that we haven't really gotten to yet, that's because this is being recorded like 2 weeks into the future compared to the original recording. Alright, so this is the Chapter 2 quest tree. So we see that there is this one branch, which is dealing with the quartz. We have this other branch, which is dealing with some liquids. We have this other branch, which is dealing with some iron. So we're going to do all three of those today. First, we needed a machine to grow the crystals, taking the seeds and feeding them with a bunch of water to make them grow into full crystals. A big copper pipe down to the river was an unnecessary but aesthetic choice to get the water. So we have our water coming in from this corner of the castle. It's being pumped in by that big decorative copper pipe. Then every other crystal needs to be sent back to be recycled into 2 more seeds. 1 seed becomes 2 crystals, one of which will get recycled back into 2 seeds, giving us a profit of 1 crystal per seed. It sounds more complicated than it is. Once the recycle belt becomes full, any full crystals that are extra just get sent to the output chest. So we have our water coming in from this corner of the castle. It's being pumped in by that big decorative copper pipe. So that water is coming over here and is being applied to these quartz seeds. And it needs to happen 12 times. So it needs a lot of water to grow these seeds into their full crystal variants. So as they come along, they grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then here we need to send some back into the system to make more crystal seeds so we can grow more crystals and we won't eventually run out. So priority, they are going into this back line. And then the back line sends it into a crafter. The full crystals get split into 2 little seeds. So 1 crystal into 2 seeds. Then once that fills up, 64, then it can't accept anymore, so all the other completed crystals will go into this chest right here, or this drawer. So it's prioritizing refilling the system. Once the refill is full, then the excess comes into this drawer. Step 2 is to make a special liquid goop to coat these crystals with. First, skystone rock found in meteors gets ground into dust. Now for the skystone solution, we take skystone dust and we mix it with water. So same water from before coming in this way and getting applied in this mixer here. It's full up, so that's why it's not making any right now. But then that skystone solution, the sort of gray purpley liquid, goes into this one where we will send in a charge. So this is a very simple charging machine setup. This little guy right here in the middle, that's the star of the show, that's the charger. So that's taking a little bit of power from this machine, which just burns coal or wood or whatever else to make electricity, basically, FE power. And that's charging up the crystals. Once the crystals are charged, they go into this drawer. So let's grab a couple of those. And just manually move it from place to place. We'll see that those crystals are getting dumped into this chest. And then that red liquid is getting made. That is destabilized redstone. Now the crystals aren't used up, they get sent down here. So that's fine enough. I'll give this a little upgrade so it can hold more. And then those crystals can be recycled or charged again or used for other things. So the destabilized redstone comes along that pipe and into this big tank. And then this tank brings it to another mixer here. This chest is full of crystals, so the crystal plus redstone equals rose quartz. Again, these are recipes specific to this mod pack. Normal Create has an easier recipe. And these are coming along. And then they're just getting a little bit of molten iron squirted onto them to make them into these guys, these electrodes. We're making the iron the same way we did, I think all the way back in episode 1, where we just have a melter here that melts down the iron. Occasionally that needs to be refilled manually too, but it uses so little iron that it's not really a big deal. So once these electrodes build up on this ejection plate, they go onto the plate and literally get launched across the room. Whee! So they're going all the way from this corner to that birch chest you see on the other wall. Yippee! Shoop! And normally I have this set to a higher number, like a full stack, so that way it doesn't shoot every single one. It will wait till it has a stack of 64 and then shoot. But these will then get applied to the kinetic mechanisms we built in Chapter 1. So it just takes 2 of these, applied, and then smacked with the screwdriver, and then bam, we have our Chapter 2 precision mechanisms. I even have a sign up here, which can use some fancy redstone to actually track how many we have made. So we can see it going up as it makes more of these guys. Ain't that cool? So this is going to be satisfying. We're going to be able to cross out pretty much this entire quest page in one moment. So, skystone dust, we've got that. Water, we've got that. Skystone solution, we've got that. Fancy crystals that are getting pumped with water, we have that. Charged crystals, we just have that too. Redstone destabilized, Rose quartz, yep. Cobble, easy done. We didn't even do that in this episode. We've done that in past episodes. Easy peasy. Iron nugs. Liquid iron. Applying it, easy peasy. Screwdriver. And finally, the precision mechanisms all at once. Hooray! Chapter 2 complete. It's easy as that. Now, one thing we can do now is unlock the other quests. Chapter 2B is for logistic mechanisms made out of lead, which are what we need to make storage. Fancy storage. So we're almost pretty much at the halfway point here. Chapter 2 out of 5 complete. Hooray. But we still have several side quests. Trains. We've done that one. We have zinc machinery, which is kind of like nether stuff. Lead machines. Side quest of end machines. And of course, Invar and Fluix machinery too as part of the main quest. And this is kind of where I don't have any experience. I played the original mod pack way back when, but I never got further than just about here. So we're entering uncharted territory, which should be pretty exciting. Because I don't really know how to make Invar or Fluix yet, so we'll have to learn together. But next episode, we'll be working on these guys, the lead machines, which we can see are added to our quest book now, and are not too complicated to make. We just make potions of haste and pulp and apply them to what we have just made here today. If you enjoyed, as always, I stream this live on Twitch twice a week, and I have a Discord, so consider joining that for updates or questions as well. Leave a comment if you have any questions, otherwise I'll see you next week. Smell you later.